So we are live, I guess. All right, great. So we're live, and it's our Tuesday class, our usual Tuesday 2 p.m. class. We're here every Tuesday sharing with you on different topics in parenting. And today we are looking at, so, all right, 10 social skills every child will need to thrive in the 21st century. So if you can see me and you are live with me, please send me a chat, right? Send a chat and say hello. Or you can share any of the emojis. If this is your first time of joining me, please tell me where you are joining me live from. Tell me where you're joining me live from, and then we will take it from there. If this you have been, coming live with us, of course, you want to go ahead and share the fire emoji, right? Yes, and that will be really, really, really good. All right, so welcome here. Thank you for joining me. Remember to tag a friend, a sister, someone who needs to learn this. Please, if you can see me, let me see your comment in the comment section. Can you see me, please? Let me see your comment in the comment section, all right? So that I will know that I can be seen and then we can move. Okay. All right, great. I think I can see the YouTube family already, and I can see some people watching on. All right, great. All right, so I think my network was a bit slower, and then we are here now. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. And remember to tag someone. Remember to share the link with someone. All right, YouTube fam, if you can see me, please let me know that you can see me. I can see and I hear you, coach. All right, great. All right, if you are on Facebook, also let me know that you can see me on Facebook. Okay, awesome, great. Okay, so I guess that we are good and we are ready to go. And if you are watching me for the first time, let me see you put an hashtag and say first time streaming live, first time watching you. And also tell me where you are watching me from. Wherever you are, just tell me where you're streaming in live from. I'm streaming from the capital city of Abuja, of Nigeria, Abuja. All right. So I'm in Abuja. All right. So let me see where you're streaming live from. Where, anywhere you are. Let me see where you're streaming live from. Thank you so much, Yadas. I see you guys. All right. It's been, very engaging in the past 1 week in the Inner Circle program, and we've had amazing, things that happened um, in the month of January. In fact, I looked at all the learnings, the things that we were supposed to do, and all of that, and it was quite, heartwarming. The things that we've learned in this month is not even something that it's just a lot. And in this month, of course, in the academy, we're looking at emotional intelligence as a team. So we're going deeper on different, issues on that. But so today we're looking at 10 skills your child would need to be able to thrive, all right, in the 21st century. Tell me where you're streaming live from. Tell me what you are, if this is your first time, all right, joining live from the ancient city of Benin. I see you, Yada, fathers in the yard. I see you guys coming in live. Okay, so one of the things that we learned, part of our team in January in the academy was actually social intelligence. And everybody who is in the inner circle will attest to the fact that, social intelligence is actually a huge subject, is a big, subject, and is deeper than what it is that, that we are just going to say here, tips and hacks. But I'm going to share a few things with you that will help you begin to actually look at your journey in a different way. And of course, if you're in the inner circle, of course, this would actually be very pleasant in the ears because it will be easy, like a follow through. Okay. I usually say that you don't really understand a lot of the things that we do, even on the Tuesday class, until you get into the inner circle. It makes it, a lot more easier. Now, when we talk about social skills, we're talking about the things, part of what your children will thrive with. One of the things I've realized is that many of us think that because everything is just about go to school, pass exams, and read English and maths. While that is very important, I want to announce to you that if you, by any chance, not be able to build emotional intelligence and social intelligence, even that IQ you have built in your child will fail your child, because your child need I and EI to actually be able to thrive. So when we talk about thriving, we're actually talking about a child who will be able to turn things around. I'm not talking about going to school and passing exams. That's just one aspect, all right. And you need to actually be very pay attention to this session, because these are some of the things that actually affect a whole lot of the things that children do and become eventually. Yes, Mary from Gambia in West Africa. Awesome. It's so good to have you on YouTube. All right. So remember to invite your friends, share the links, and let them know that we are here. Like they say in Nigerian Palace, now we they here. All right. So it's going to be a session that you would be glad that you actually came for. So number one, social skills that you need to teach your child to be able to thrive is effective communication. Now, communication in itself is a huge subject. We did quite a lot of it, in our program in the last month. Talking about communication skills, as in we broke it down, the things you need to learn and all of that. But I'm going to mention a few things that effective communication would involve that is lacking in what we know that effective communication actually means. Number one is making eye contact. Growing up, I know that a lot of us, what we were told was that you should not look at someone's eyes when the person is having a conversation with you, especially for older people who was told that. So when your parent is talking to you, they are asking you, why are you looking into my eyes? Mhm. Yeah, making eye contact. Who else had, that kind of experience? All right. You were not allowed to look into the eyes of an older person because it was said to be a wrong way, right? Me, awesome. I can see some people raising their hands already. All right. It was seen as a wrong way of actually communicating to people who are older. So, one of the things that you were told is to look down whenever it is that you're talking to people. And good eye contact, interestingly, is actually part of communication, but we were not told. All right, they say that it shows you're rude. Yes, thank you. Somebody already, is saying that it shows that you're rude. So it was considered being rude, but what we do not even understand is that making contact is extremely important in effective communication. So sometimes that have made a lot of people shy. Many adults cannot look at you when they are making conversations. So it's difficult to, to convince you. Is it because for you to pass information? And of course, that makes it even really, really, really a big deal, when it comes to communicating effectively. Now, one of the things that one of the things that children struggle with, and even adults, is making eye contact. So one of the things that you need to do is to offer quick reminders. What I do with my children is, when we're talking and I look at you and I say, where should your eye go when you're talking to someone, when you're communicating? And then they go, oh, I should actually make eye contact from time to time. We're not saying that you should teach your children to stare. We're saying make eye contact. Eye contact means that you're going to connect as you're going. You might even show your children how it feels to hold conversations, all right, and with someone who isn't making eye contact. So, for instance, you can ask them to share a story when you stare on the ground, or maybe close your eyes or look somewhere else. All right. You can invite them to tell another story and make appropriate eye contact while they are talking. Then, of course, you can now look at the two scenarios and you are able to actually understand exactly what it is, all right, that is happening. Somebody said you shouldn't be smiling. Yes, that's also part of communication. a lot of people were, you couldn't be caught smiling, you shouldn't be caught doing, a lot of, you shouldn't be caught looking at an adult. So an adult is, a this thing, so we're not the different and actual effective communication. And it's actually a key social skill. And that's what we're beginning to see. Quite a lot of children in Africa. Today I was in a session with is a kid which is in Nigeria. We were having a conversation. Um, all right. You can please, Kay. Thank you so much. We're having a conversation about children being not being able to actually have better self-esteem. And we were analyzing, and it's so the kind of upbringing people have. So of course, things as simple as making eye contact. Things that so when they get to the global stage, they're even afraid. They can't even look at people effective communication, out there. All right. So it's very important that you teach your children their contact. Then listening is one of the communication skills that is very key. Now we have a lot of parents, all right. Um, we have a lot of parents who do not even have the ability to listen because your child is talking to you, you're on the phone. Your child is doing something, you're distracted. Now, in this time where there's a lot of distraction with the phone, there's even much more, issues when it comes to, listening. Now, listening is not just about staring. Listening is about absorbing. Now, that's one of the biggest challenges that we're having today. That there's really people are not really absorbing information. People are not really so there's a lot of distraction. So you need to actually teach your children to listen. So listening also is not just about staying quiet. I hear parents, they want to teach their children how to listen. They say keep quiet, and they say, I'm teaching you how to listen. So you must keep quiet. It actually means absorbing what someone else is saying. Listening is a critical component of healthy communication. So, much of the learning in school depends on the child's ability to actually listen to what the teacher is saying and listen to learn, not listen to respond. We have a lot of it, down here. People only listen to respond, they don't listen to actually learn. So they are waiting for you at the end. So absorbing a material, taking notes, thinking about what is being said is more important as your child even advances academically. So you need to give your child plenty of opportunity to practice listening and strengthen this skill. But this will have to be what you give. All right, you can't give what you don't have. So it's essential that your child grows up knowing how to listen. Listen to their boss, listen to their partner, listen to their friends. A lot of us lack listening skills. So it helps to be even more, difficult to master in this age of digital time. So it's something you need to really look at. Number two, accepting consequences. Because we don't even teach our children consequences, they don't even understand the concept of accepting consequences. Your child does something, you're so in a hurry to, pounce on the child. So, of course, your child doesn't even learn how to accept consequences. Now, what happens is that when a child is wrong, instead of us looking at that child and, saying, okay, you have done something, this is the consequences for your action, we jump on it. We bring out the almighty cane. And then we cane the child and then leave consequences out of it. I will give a very vivid example. Your child pours water on the floor and you just come out and you slap the child because the child made a mistake and poured water on the floor. And then you take a rag because you're irritated that the child is going to take too much time mopping the floor, cleaning it up, and you don't have the time. So you go quickly, pick up the mop the floor, and you have slapped the child. For you, that takes in the consequences. However, your child hasn't really learned how to actually absorb consequences because your child doesn't understand what has happened. What your child understands is that I made a mistake and I was beaten for making a mistake. So what it means is I am going to be hypocritical. I'm going to try to make a mistake and cover it up. So that's what happens. So your child begins to cover up mistakes, so accepting the consequences of their action because you have not giving you room for accepting consequences of their action. Now, this is why you now have in the social gathering, people do things and they prove a point because nobody taught them that there is consequence for every whatever actions that we take. It's actually a teaching process. Number three, following directions. Now, following direction is another big deal. And is somebody writing for us? Number one is effective communication. Number two is accepting consequences. Number three is following directions. Somebody should help us write that. Following directions. All right. When we talk about following direction, children struggle to follow direction. They are likely to experience a variety of consequences. Children who struggle to follow direction. You tell them to do this, they don't do it. Bam, you land them with consequences. From having to redo their homework assignments to getting into trouble for misbehaviors to not following direction, it can be a big problem. All right. So whether you instruct your child to clean their room or you're telling them how to improve their skills in doing something, it's important for your child to be able to take direction and follow instructions. It's a key tool for being able to go through social skills. Thank you so much, Delight. All right. So before you can expect your child to get good at following direction, it's also very important that you are actually giving directions in the way that it should be. Number one, don't give your child more than one direction at a time. Don't give your child more than one direction at a time. It's important. So instead of saying, um, pick up your books, put your books away, and pick up your shoe, wash your hands, wait until the shoes are picked up before you get. So just hold on. You want to give your answers, right? Following direction, you want to give your directions one time, one place at a time. Don't you know? Don't um, don't confuse your child. Remember that your child is learning. So when your child is following direction, all right, so it can go, a bit. If your child doesn't understand it, so don't give your child, a disadvantage at learning how to follow direction. Give them for younger children one direction at a time. Don't lump, directions over and over again and all of that. Number two, don't phrase your direction as a question. I'm going to explain. All right. If you phrase your direction as a question, you are implying that you're giving them options to say no. So many of the times I see parents struggle with misbehavior, and that's because there's a lot of giving options. All right, giving options and taking directions as a question. All right, and what we do is that we say things like, "Would you please pick up your toys now?" It's like you imply that your child have the option to say no. So once you've given your children direction, you need to actually ask them to repeat back what you said. Ask, what are you supposed to do now? So for instance, can you quickly pick up all of these things right now, and then you go back to say, what are you supposed to do now? So when you repeat, it means that it's not an option. I am giving a direction. They're not the same. So giving a direction and giving options, giving choices are two different things. All right. So number three, don't also forget that mistakes are normal. So when it comes to following direction, it's normal for young people to get distracted. It's normal for them to behave impulsively. It's normal. Forget what they're supposed to do and all of that. So you need to look at every mistake as an opportunity to help them sharpen their skills. So look at every mistake as an opportunity to help them sharpen their skills. All right. If you're following, let me see you hit the like button. Let me see you hit the like button if you're getting value. And let me see you share this link and also tag the parent. All right. Who would like to or who would need this session? Remember that apart from us trying to also do, our things, we need to also let many parents out there to understand that there's a lot to learn. All right. So let's share this. Let's hit the like button. Let's keep sharing until we get all the parents, right, to get to listen to these things. All right. Number D. This is the one. This is the part that I want to throw a bit more light in on, because it's also part of what we are doing um, in the inner circle. Part of what we're doing in the inner circle is talking about the executive functioning skills. And one of the executive functioning skills is flexible thinking. We also call it cognitive, thinking. All right, cognitive thinking. So that's part of the executive functioning skills. And flexible thinking is a key social skill. So it's called mental flexibility or cognitive, thinking. So one ability. So what does it really mean? It means your ability to have a problem and come up with a solution, not just one solution, but several ability to think about things in a different way. Now, let me tell you what happens in many of us who grew up, especially in the part of the world where you are shut down. You were given the how. You were not allowed to ask why. I've said that before, that he who knows why is better and greater than he who knows how. We were taught a lot of hows. Just take it. It was about instructions. It was about corrections. It was about, you know, everything. No, don't think. So you're thinking, you were raised to think one way. You were raised to think one way. So it's all about just do it the way I've said it. So your parents come home and they say, why did you have to do it differently? Why didn't you take instructions? Because now we think that instructions are just, that's where what all parenting is about. Take my instructions, is my way or the highway, and that's it. And then we move. But unfortunately, you're doing your child a disservice if you do not engage them to be able to think in a flexible way. If you do not engage them to be able to think of solutions, having more than one way, it deters their ability to actually connect in the social system. Now, flexible thinking, not just it's not just one solution, but several ability to think about things in different ways. Now, cognitive flexibility is there are two skills that make up cognitive flexibility. Number one is flexible thinking. Number two is set shifting. Now, flexible thinking is thinking about something in a new way. I remember that when I started to teach my daughter how to make jollof rice, she was about 9. And of course, somebody, told me how, oh, there was the rush in teaching a child who is 11 to actually be able to cook all the things. And if you do not understand how the executive functioning skills work, you would never be able to understand why, some of us do, why, some of us do. So the executive functioning skills is a core. And one of the reasons why we have lack of creativity in the world is because these functioning skills is shut down. Okay. So cognitive, flexibility is two sets: flexible thinking and set thinking. So flexible thinking is thinking about something in a new way. Now, you see something emotional parent. Many of us have, do not want to think about it in a new way. It's because we do not have flexibility in thinking, and it's no fault of ours. So we want to do what we know. That's what flexible thinking, not having thinking does. So you just do what you know. All right. Then there's set shifting, which is the other skill that you need to be able to do cognitive flexibility. Set shifting. Now, set shifting is letting go of your old ways of doing things in order to use new ways. That's set shifting. Now, part of the things that I have been able to let my children do is to be able to think their own ways. Who says that my own way of cooking is the way of cooking? My daughter can have a better style. Why not? And, she proved it by actually teaching me how to cook jollof rice in another way. And her style was better than mine. All right. Her style was better than mine. And it's actually quite interesting. All right. That's what when you give your child the ability to think in a flexible manner, they are actually able to come up with different ways to do things. When you are all about instructions and you and just do it, I just know everything. You do not know it more than I know it. You cannot. So, many times we actually think that children, we actually think that children do not know, much. That's not true. When you give them the flexibility to think, it will wow you. The other day, I shared about how my son bought my clothes and was able to actually offer an amazing solution to it. At the end of the day, that cloth came out even a lot more better, you know, and what have you, to anything that I would have even thought of, because he was given the opportunity to think. Now, set shifting, that was me. All right, that was me being able to say, I will let go of my old way that I have known for 30 something years cooking jollof rice, that I've known, and embrace the new way. That's set shifting, and that's what proves that your cognitive flexibility is intact. And without cognitive flexibility, you would actually not be able to fit in, into social systems, which is very, very important, because it's one of the things that you use to actually thrive in the social system. So children who are rigid in thinking have difficulty moving beyond the more basic ways of doing things. All right. They can't move. So everything is basic. That's why we are who we are in this part of the world. So what we have learned is just to learn how to do the basic things. We can't, we can't function on higher function, because the higher function was not even activated. So everything you see is just at the level of, you know, just normal level, basic. So what you see around you is basic. All right. So it's all about the basic things. It's all about the same way of doing things and all of that. Nobody's thinking much. Children are not given the opportunity to actually be able to do, a whole lot of that. Children who have weak flexibility, have, problems with, solving problems and taking up new tasks. And they also have problems with responsibility as they get older. So you see that a lot of the times these children begin to even struggle beyond what you can imagine. Now a child, something is happening to a child is having an issue trying to learn a skill. The child is not learning it because cognitive skills is actually shut down in the child. It's a whole lot of learning. This is just one part of the executive functioning skills. All right, part of what we're doing this week is executive functioning skills into the in the inner circle in the academy. All right. Sorry, you can't join us. You can't join us in 2022. You can only join us for 2023. All right. Yeah, that are you there? All right. Don't be angry. Just reach out to us and book a slot to join for 2023 cohort, which starts on the 1st of December. We already have about 20 people that are already booked their slots, and we have over 100 people on the waiting list as well. Okay, so you might want to do that. All right, so that's just one part of the executive functioning skills, and we're going to be talking more about the executive functioning skills this week and getting deeper into it. Then the next one, conflict resolution and problem dealing with problem. So we have a problem with resolving conflict. We have a problem with resolving conflict. In my book, Resolving Sibling Rivalry, all right, it was one of the things that that I shared. It was one of the things that bothered me. Resolving sibling rivalry. One of the problems that we had, or we have, is that sibling rivalry is never going to go away, but people are never equipped with what it is that they need to solve the problem. And that's also one of the reasons why people cannot create tangible relationships, because you do not have what it takes to resolve conflict. So there must be conflict. The question is, when conflict comes, what do I do with it? And a lot of us were not given the opportunity. I was writing in that book and I was sharing a story about my father and his brothers. And I said that one of the things that I see is that people, children who were never taught how to resolve conflict. So, people say you are going to outgrow this fight. Let me shock you. Children don't outgrow any fight. It continues. The only thing you do for children is to teach them skills to be able to deal with whatever you're having at the moment. So if your child is not able to have the required skills to be able to deal with whatever it is that they are, dealing with now, when it comes to conflict, they will continue. They will continue in conflict. And the conflict will get bad because they do not have the appropriate conflict resolution skills. Now, conflict resolution is a key skill in building relationships, in social, setting and all of that. That's why you see people, they come up and they're not able to do, they're not able to do a lot of things because they lack, a lot of these, skills. All right. I shared a lot on how to even create a conflict resolution plan in Resolving Sibling Rivalry book. And it's something that you want to, do. And one of the ways to actually help your children begin to deal with, all of this and resolving sibling rivalry is actually to give them the ability to solve problems. And one of the things that you can do is to also help them to work on their emotions. All right. So we are moving. The next one is self-regulatory emotion, self-regulation, regulating emotions. Self-regulating emotions is another key skill, 10 social skills your child will need to thrive in the 21st century. I have seen a lot of people who are a mess. They're good with everything. Everything is, awesome, but they're a mess with the ability to self-regulate. They can't self-regulate. And we're even seeing more and more children who are struggling with self-regulation in this time. And it's a terrible thing. All right. Self-regulation, they can't regulate their emotions. They deal with it however it is that they want to do. They throw you. I told the parents, that we're having session with last week, and I said some of us even throw tantrums. Yeah, as adults, because we were never taught how to manage, all right, how to manage their emotions. All right. Part of what we have been, we did last month was how to help your children self-regulate. How to help your children self-regulate. So the question you want to be asking yourself is, how do I help myself, regulate? How do I help my children self-regulate? Self-regulate emotions. Emotions are drivers of relationships, and you must be able to tame them. If you don't, they will outrun you. Now, one of the biggest challenges we have in parenting is that parents do not even know how to deal with some of these things that we're sharing, which is why the Becoming an Emotionally Intelligent Parent course is one course that, that we've thrown out there so that parents will actually be able to work on themselves. Many of us cannot self-regulate. Everything is, you react to everything anyhow. We can't self-regulate. Yes. And then we blame our children, which is self-regulation is one of the reasons why there's a problem with impulse control. A lot of people cannot control their impulse. They act on impulse. So impulse control, is a big deal. A child who does not have impulse control will end up getting into addictions. Let me say that again. A child who does not have ability to control impulses will end up getting into addictions. Addictions, betting, name it. Because, that's one of the things, so one of the things that happen when you can't control impulses is that, so your head, that there's a part of the brain where that it triggers, the amygdala, it triggers dopamine. And the moment dopamine is triggered, the ability to actually self-regulate, which, impulse control is part of, which is also an executive functioning skill, will help you to actually regulate whatever it is, hormones and all of that. But many of the times, the children were not even taught to control impulses. They were forced to get into instructions. They're not the same thing. I say that authority is not force and control. Authority is actually respect and influence and trust. If your child cannot respect, if your child cannot trust you, you lack authority over him. So authority is something that We need to actually, and it's transient. Authority is transient. Do not take your authority for granted. Do not come and think you have become an alpha and omega because you are a parent. No, authority is transient. At some point in your parenting life, authority is going to shift hands, and your children are going to take authority and be able. It is how you actually teach them how to manage authority. That's what happens to you when you become. We don't get it. We don't understand that we are the first receivers of this ineffective parenting that we're talking about. We're the first receivers. I was sharing the other day that I saw a parent in the hospital, a father, where the son was talking to him anyhow, was pissed that he was sick and all of that. And I smiled. I saw a child who was from childhood. Everything you do, we first of all come back to you. If you raise an irresponsible child, it will first of all hit you before it hits the society. Beyond the society, you are the first recipient. A parent is the first recipient of ineffective parenting. Parent is the first recipient of ineffective parenting. The moment ineffective parenting gets in the way, you are the first person that will take the consequences of that action. So whatever it is that you need to do to be able to actually, the impact hits the parents first. You are the first person it hits. You are the first person that will have high blood pressure. You are the first person that will die because your child did something wrong. You are the first person it hits. Before the society suffers for it, it has hit you already. So you need to actually understand that this is more about you. I've been saying it. Parenting is about you. That's what I've been wearing. Parenting is about you before it is about your child. All right? Are you getting value from this class? If you are, tag that parent who needs to be here. If you are getting value, share this link with your friends and family. And let me see you share the via emojis if you are getting value. All right, so let's go on. We still have quite a few of these things to also think about. All right, so it is part of the thing we need. Self-regulating emotions. And if you cannot self-regulate, then you need help. The other day I posted it and I said, allow help you. Oh, people came with different interpretation. If it's because part of the reasons why what our upbringing gave us is the inability to ask for help. Yeah, because we look at ourselves, as we look at ourselves as the people who should not. Asking for help is a bad thing. That's the way we look at it. Asking for help becomes a bad thing. Meanwhile, asking for help is actually a sign that you have started growing when it comes to working on your emotions. But we constantly are thinking. Somebody said, but you are a coach. Why did you have to bring in somebody to teach your child this? I've listened to you, too much, a lot of that and all of that. I smiled. Because when you get to a point where you think you know everything, that's where you start to die. That's where you start to die. Dying is not necessarily about physical death. A lot of us are actually dead. One of the things that cognitive, I was talking about cognitive ability. One of the things that it does is that it gives better reading abilities. So a lot of people have shut down. A lot of Nigerians don't read, not because Africans. They say when you want to hide something for the black man, put it in a book. You don't know that tells for something. All right. So it's the inability, it's the cognitive ability. That's what it is. All right. And it also helps you to respond to adverse life events differently. It also helps you to have a higher ability to respond to stress. So when people come to me and say, oh, you do quite a lot and you don't get that stressed and all of that, emotional intelligence can actually help you work out your stress and live stress free. Trust me. If you're able to actually get it right, is one part of your life that your system that gets it right and gets it right forever. I was telling the parents in the inner circle that I've done emotional intelligence courses every year. Every year. I'm not tired. All right. And for every year that I go through that professional course, I see insights. Insight. Amazing insight. So you can't even stop learning. The moment you see yourself not wanting to learn, I know it. What are they going to teach me and all of that? Is a problem. It's a problem. It's part of the problem, of childhood, whatever it is that they give you. Okay. The next one is taking responsibility. We are raising children who cannot take responsibility for their actions. We're raising children who cannot take responsibility for their actions. We want to do everything for our children. I saw a post in our community on Facebook where a parent was asking that they didn't allow the child to um, to get into a sport or something. The teacher said he didn't call his name, and the child came back and complained, and the mother wants to go to the school and ask the teacher why. Wow. So, and I'm asking, how long are you going to go to the school? How long are you going to ask everybody, if your child cannot, meet up, taking responsibility for whatever it is? So why not teach your children that, okay, if the teacher haven't called you, it means that there are some things that, needs to be done, maybe you haven't done. Why not teach them to take responsibility for whatever action that they find themselves in? Why not teach your children to find themselves in a place where things happen? Now, alas, the problem is that we are not teaching our children to take responsibility. We are beating them through it. The moment you take beating a child for an excuse, you teach them a responsibility because you are also being irresponsible with your own emotions. Oh, yes. You're being irresponsible with your own emotions. So you need to actually, first of all, even model responsibility. All right. And so people say, oh, so you mean with Ken, what are you supposed to be? Keep quiet. No, there are plenty, too many disciplinary strategies. In fact, if you get it right, your children will prefer that you flog them than you actually implement, actions, consequences, and the discipline that works. Really, if you do, it's more difficult. It taxes you to actually do the discipline that works than do the discipline that doesn't work. Because punishment invokes the emotional brain, discipline invokes the thinking brain. It doesn't do the same thing. So you need to actually be able to think to be able to invoke the thinking brain. So if you're not thinking, all right, if you're not thinking, you won't be able to make a difference. And until I got that, until I understood that years ago, nothing changed in my parenting journey. So I'm telling you something that I've been on the other side. And I've been on this side. I can tell you for free that this side is more difficult but more rewarding. All right. Your ability to actually put your emotions in check. Actually, it's your ability to put your emotions in check. His ability to put your emotions in check that actually turns around your parenting journey. So it's important. Somebody said, repeat. I said that invokes the thinking brain. Punishment invokes the emotional brain. It does not have the ability to sustain because it's invoking the emotional brain. Now that's where the cognitive thinking, the flexibility comes in. If you teach your children ability to take responsibility in their thinking, the flexibility in their thinking, it improves their cognitive, thinking. They become more creative. It helps you. They take more responsibility. If your child does not take responsibility, no matter how much you beat them, nothing's going to change. So you need to get that first for you to actually be able to do that. Then the next one that you want to do is that you want to teach your children to respect personal spaces. Is also a key thing on the skills, social skills. I see some children, they get into a stranger's body, even when there's a meter. You should teach your children how to respect personal spaces. Very key. These are very simple things, but we don't think that is a big deal. Some children are close talkers. Some others crawl right into your laps of acquaintances without any idea that the other individual might actually feel uncomfortable. We don't teach our children. It's important you teach your children how to respect other people's personal spaces. Create your household rules. Encourage them, to respect people's personal spaces, and you need to also respect their personal spaces. Keep your hands to yourself. It's an example. All right, it's a personal space. All right, so if your child is trying to push people, impatient and all of that, establish consequences. Let them know that you can't just get. A lot of people were molested in our time because our parents didn't even understand what it meant to actually teach personal spaces. Oh yes, you remember those days. You go to an uncle's house, you sit on his lap, and the next thing, the penis is rubbing all over your body. I don't know about you. A lot of people actually, experienced it. So lack of personal spaces. Many people were not taught. There are a lot of people who have such experiences. All right. Or even you're sitting somewhere, you have a family friend, and their hand is right inside your skirt as a child, as a preteen, even sometimes as a toddler. Oh, yes, because nobody told you that your personal space should be respected. Nobody told you that you should respect people's personal space. So you are on their body. So you need to actually teach your children how to actually deal with some of this, and teach your children to stand about one arm's length away from people when they are talking to them. That's what it is that I've taught my children. So when they are standing in the line, talk about how close, to being the person in front of them, or talk about how, their hands, to themselves. You can role model all of these things that we are talking about. Then the next one is staying calm in the time of stress. Is a skill. I see a lot of people, all right? I see a lot of people that can't stay calm. There's stress. Once stress comes, whenever you see yourself, you can't cope in difficult situations, you lack emotional intelligence, all right? You can't cope in difficult situations, all right? Sorry, Facebook. I think our Facebook community is a bit, all right, is a bit down. I don't know what's happening, okay? So if you cannot cope in stressful time, all right, I don't know why. Please just give me a minute. Let me make sure that back. We are back on Facebook. Okay. Okay. I don't know. We're just rolling and all right. I guess we can send a chat for the people on Facebook to just come on YouTube and then we'll finish up. All right. Staying calm in the time of stress. A lot of us, can get pretty very much stressed. Things happen. You are jumpy. You are everywhere. You can't settle. Recently, I had a technical issue to be able to. I do not like coming for classes late, and I had a technical issue, and I had to actually be in a class late. Also, sorry, Facebook fam. I guess we're back on. We were actually logged out. Network. Okay, so sorry about that. And the a friend was right in front of me, and she was saying, "You're not jumping up, you're not stressed, you're not worried, and all of that," because I was as calm as ever. Calmness is a skill, it's not a prayer point. I will tell you, I said my story, I shared my story in from yelling to calm. If you get from yelling to calm, you will be able to actually understand exactly what it is that I share. Calmness is a skill. I learned to stay calm, and I said that stillness is the place of kings. If you have not learned to be still in the midst of chaos, you haven't started. All right? You haven't started. You need to, it's a skill. It's not even something that, oh, I want to, it's a skill you build. And you build it by building your emotional intelligence, part of you. So when you build the emotional intelligent part of you, you are able to build it up as you're going. So ability to stay calm in the face of pressure is a long one. It's part of what we're going to be teaching in the emotional intelligence, becoming an emotional intelligent parent course. All right. We're going to be teaching how skills to develop to actually be able to stay calm. It's a skill, as in it's a skill. And if you have it, you can actually solve problems, parenting problems. You will solve it like this without thinking twice. You will solve it like this without thinking twice. So when you build it, that's why in the Bible it was talking about when David was going to be enthroned, you know, when David to be enthroned, David, it was said that it was the children of Issachar that understood the times. In fact, when I read further, it said that it was the children of Issachar that understood that there were skills. They had skills. So the more skillful you are, the better you are actually at parenting. That's a natural thing. All right. So by the time I was able to actually learn the stillness of this journey, sometimes all you need to do is to be quiet. Sometimes all you need to do on this journey is to be quiet, not to be jumping. Sometimes even in the heat of everything that's happening to your child, everything is happening. Maybe all you need to do is to be calm. You don't solve a problem in worry. You solve your problem in thinking. And that's why I said that stillness is the place of kings. If you learn stillness, if you learn calmness, it solves 80% of your parenting wahala. 80%. And you will be able to parent in such a way that even you, it will shock you. And you know the good thing, it's easy for you to transcend it from generation to your generation, to your next generation. So staying calm in the time of stress, that's what tells you. Something happened to me recently, and I was going to lose, money, and I was so calm. Was asking me, and I said, it's just a skill. And I shared it with the parents in the inner circle last year when we were doing the emotional intelligence class. Told them and taught them how they can actually go through all of this, series and all of that. A parent, was able to. It helped a particular parent go through a death process because she had better emotional, intelligence and to be able to actually look at, issues. Now, that's not numbing. A lot of people will tell me I'm emotionally intelligent because they shut down their feelings. No, shutting down your feelings is not emotional intelligence. Ability to actually express them in an intelligent way. That's what emotional intelligence is. All right. That's what emotional intelligence is. And it is something that changes the game for you. Emotional intelligence will improve how much money you make. Yes, put me anywhere. It will improve your social connection. Quote me anywhere. It will improve the quality of people who come around you. Quote me anywhere. It will improve your parenting. Quote me anywhere. It will improve your productivity. Quote me anywhere. And once you are able to get this, you go through. You go through life like it's a breeze. And people wonder what has happened to you. What has happened to you? Something that we need to actually put in perspective. And then the last one, showing empathy. Hmm. And I was telling the parents in level 2 when we had our webinar this month, and I was saying that empathy in this part of the world is to be sympathy, and it's not the same. So, sympathy is what we do for people we're better than. You see someone who has lost a child, or you say, yeah, you just put sympathy is not the same as empathy. So what we do is sympathy. When you ask parents, how will you teach empathy to your children? You hear, I will take them to motherless babies home so that they will go and learn, empathy, how to empathize. Which is why our empathy in a very funny way in this part of the world. Which is why when you see someone who is with a car, and even if it's your Okada man that runs into him, Okada is a machine that is used for transport in Nigeria, for those of us who are watching me outside of Nigeria, and runs into the car, the mob, we blame the man in the car because our system teaches us to actually look at the poor as sympathize. We don't learn empathy. So the question you want to ask yourself is, how do you teach empathy? What do you need to do? Is a skill, being able to empathize. I was listening to um, Elon Musk's mother, and she was asked, what is that thing that all her children are innovators? For the record, nobody innovates without empathy. Nobody leads an industry without empathy. Nobody creates without empathy. You cannot. It is only empathy. You can only create value on the premise of empathy. I usually say to my mom that that's the greatest skill that I learned from her. Empathy. For you to even make money, you need empathy. Empathy is like a bedrock and is a social skill that is so needed. So, and when she was asked, what is it? All her children are creators, they're innovators. Elon Musk. What is it that you will teach your children again and again if you're going to teach them how, if you're going to reparent again? She said, empathy. Empathy is my biggest achievement when it comes to parenting. Empathy. Now, can you even show empathy? You need to, first of all, learn what empathy is. Many of us were raised without empathy. We were raised without empathy. That's why we come out to say things like Somebody says, "Oh, I really didn't like, you know, I really didn't like how my parents raised me." Another person says, "What did they do to you that they've not done to another person?" You come out, your child is sick. Your person say, what is even wrong with you? Are you the only one that have been sick? After all, yesterday I had a headache. It is that time you remember that that's when you had a headache. Like I said earlier, ineffective parenting, the first recipient of ineffective parenting is you, the parent. Tomorrow, when you're old, frail, aged, and also wrinkled, and then sick, your child will also ask you, what is even the problem? Are you the only one that is old? It will hit you first. If we recognize and realize some of the things that we do and why we do them, then we will now begin to actually understand that we need to do things differently. And the moment you're able to actually buy into, being able to build yourself differently, you will see a lot of things begin to change on your journey. Which is why I've told the parents in the inner circle that you want this journey to be useful to you, you want to work on your emotional intelligence, let it be a refresher. In level three, we're talking about it this morning. We're talking about it being a refresher on a yearly basis. There must have been something that I saw that made me say, you see this skill, I'm going to learn it until I'm here. It has helped, you know, my marriage. It has helped everything about me, everything. And the root of empathy is actually emotional intelligence. Without emotional intelligence, you can teach empathy, you can show empathy, you can understand it. So you need to actually be able to put a lot of things in perspective on your journey as a parent. Don't just let your children go to school. Let them come back. The children can go to school, come back, and boom, that's it. And then we are where we are. Yes, nobody creates without empathy. And that's one of the reasons why we have less creators down here in this world than any other place, because our empathy bank is very small, very small. That's why when people go out there, something happens to someone, we are very quick in this part of the world to say, what have you even gone through? Have you even seen my own? That's how we react to issues. That's how we talk about. Time won't permit me to actually go into all of these details. But of course, during the week, right in the inner circle, we're going to break down the the whole system of executive functioning skills. What not having executive functioning skills have robbed you, how you can begin to deal with it as a parent and begin to teach your children to have an advantage. Today, I had a session with a mentor of mine, and he said to me, one of your biggest advantages is parenting advantage. And I agree, absolutely. Parenting advantage. So you can actually give your children, right? You can actually give your children an advantage over the other people. Some people have parenting advantage, and that's the only thing that is speaking for them. Parenting advantage. They are parented in a different way. And you must understand that you cannot parent your children with Nigeria in mind, Cameroon in mind, America in mind. No, you have to parent your children with the globe in mind. And like I said over the weekend with the parents in our circle in our webinar, I said you must think in 30 years. You can no longer think in tomorrow and next. That if you're parenting, you should ask yourself, whatever plans you're making, plans should be in 30 years. These are some of the things that you would need to do. And of course, I said that the root of empathy is emotional intelligence. How emotional intelligent are you? We think that, by the time we back and and then problems get solved. That's not true. I learned it the hard way myself. I had to learn it the hard way. And here I am, telling you that you can actually do these things better. All right. And I started screaming about it because I knew that there's a better way to do these things. There's always a better way. All right. Does it mean that somebody reach out to me and say, but I'm very quiet and calm. I don't really do anything. My children don't even look at me. And your inability to express your emotion is lack of emotional intelligence. So the fact that you're angry and you're calm doesn't make you emotionally intelligent. All right. The fact that you don't, do anything once you don't tell people how you feel. She was telling me, I don't even look for trouble. When people anger me, I just go my way. That's you being emotionally unintelligent. All right. Right in the emotional intelligence, class, we are going to be looking at different modules on emotional intelligence. And I tell you, it is one class that you do not want to miss. Part of what we are going to be teaching in that, class. All right. Part of what we're going to be teaching in that class is, in the different module we're going to be looking at. And we're going to be looking at the emotional brain, what emotions are for, how you can use the emotional brain positively to your advantages, something like that. How you were parented, what I call know thyself, and then self-esteem, how your self-esteem can erode, the whole system that you have, currently. And then we have module 3, anger management, the anatomy of rage, and understanding your triggers. It's also part of what we're going to be saying. And then we're also going to be doing the discovery walk your way through, where you're going to be discovering yourself when we're talking about know thyself. And then we're also going to be doing trauma and emotional relearning. So we're going to be re-educating the emotional brain. So your emotional brain is already set in its way. But part of what we're going to be doing in that class is to re-educate and do what we call, emotional relearning for you. And then we'll have the module 5, childhood, a window of opportunities, talking about the attachment theory, how you can present your child an opportunity to become a better version of you. All right. So that class is still ongoing. Registration is still ongoing. In 8 days, registration shuts down. Right. So you can register. All you need to do is to put course in the comment section and register through this conversation. And please ask your questions. If you have your questions to ask, please ask them right here. We are here. All right. We are here waiting for that conversation and those questions. So please, if you have if you have any question, ask me, ask away. I have quite a few, and I hope you got value from this class. If you did, let me see your comment in the comment section. The early bird offer is over. All right. For those who are asking, the early bird offer is over. So you can now pay full fees. The fees is 20,500. So the early bird offer 15,500 is over, and we have just 10 days to register. And we do not, we don't also do this course twice in a year. All right, we do it just once in a year, and once in a year we're able to just trash it because we have quite a large curriculum right in the inner circle, and we will be we don't want to take people's time off the other courses. So you can look at the screen if you're watching on YouTube, all right, and put get the details for the session. All right, for the principal in the inner circle, of course your fee remains the same, it doesn't change. Please, what is point 8 and 9? Point 8 and 9, let me see again. Point 8 and 9 is staying calm in this time of stress and showing empathy. Oh, 8 and 9, respecting personal space and staying calm in the time of stress. Respecting personal space and staying calm in the time of stress. All right. Thank you, Rosalind. Please, coach, I still don't get the difference between empathy, sympathy. Could you please explain? Um, okay, so when we talk about, let me see if there's any other question. Let me see if there's any other questions before I respond to this. Let me just look through it. All right. So sympathy involves understanding from your own perspective. Empathy involves putting yourself in the other person's shoe and understanding why they might have this particular feeling. Sympathy is when your toddler is throwing a tantrum and you're saying, it's okay now, it's okay, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with you, it's okay, it's okay. Empathy is you recognizing that this is a child and you can come down to his level and say, I can imagine how you feel right now and how can I be of help? I hope that helps. Your inability to express your emotions is lack of emotional intelligence in itself. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chris. I've been trying to improve in my talent parenting life from your teachings, Wendy. God bless you richly. Thank you so much, Olewuni Chiwendo. I really appreciate you. All right. If you want to ask more questions, and what was your biggest takeaway? Let me see your biggest takeaway quote from this session. Good afternoon, please. How do I teach my preschooler not to be so free with strangers? However, friendliness and warming up easily to strangers worries me. Just teach her about personal space. You need to begin teach her about personal space, and then teach her about strangers and danger. All right. So it's something you need to balance it. I might not be so the best thing is to start with teaching her personal space. Okay. And teach her what to do, how to say it. And that starts with you showing her, what personal space means. All right. Thank you so much, Ma. What's the difference between punishment and discipline? Punishment imparts the emotional brain. Discipline imparts the thinking brain. Punishment is that you are targeting the child to suffer for what they have done. Discipline is that you are teaching the child to recreate the process and learn through the process. So that's the difference between punishment and discipline. All right. Oh my God, I'm really learning a lot as a single lady. Thank you, Chidinma Obodo. It's so good to have you here. All right. So that's the difference. I hope you're good, or Lainka, between discipline and punishment. All right, they're not the same. Anything that erodes your child's self-esteem can, bring them down, shut them down. Do not help them learn in the process. It means that you're targeting. You want them to suffer for the misbehavior. You do not want them to learn. They're not the same. So suffering for a misbehavior, if you do it, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to show you. Suffering for a misbehavior is not the same with teaching your child with a process that will help them rethink their system. Thank you so much, everybody. It is already 7 minutes after 7, after 3, and I would need to go. Thank you, and do have an amazing, amazing day. Remember that you can still register for the course and be there. All right. Augustine, if you're listening to me on Facebook, just share the details, if you want to register. I'm sure we have 230 something. All right. 230 something parents already in that, course, becoming an emotionally intelligent parent course. If I have my way, every parent in Nigeria should become emotionally intelligent, should start the process before they even begin marriage at all. So whether you are married or you're single or you are anywhere, it is something that will help, set you up, on a different system. Thank you so much. My biggest takeaway is parents are the first recipient of ineffective parenting. Oh, yes, parents are the first recipient of ineffective parenting. Thank you so much for all you do and everything that for being here. I do not take it for granted. All right, you can send all the other details and how we have to go. There are too many other things to do. All right, I'm working on the course and recreating the modules, and I tell you, it's a course that you don't want to miss in this time. Even if you've taken it before, it's a course you don't want to miss. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and do have an amazing week ahead.